Welcome to the Unity of Olympia podcast.
So a couple of guys are working on a generator at a power plant. So the generator's running, and the electrical panel is open, and there's this noise going on, right? This humming going on. So Joe says to Johnny, "Look at that noise, that humming, always makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up." And Johnny said, "Well, you know why it makes that sound, right? These are both electricians, right?" He says, "No, I don't. I don't think that was taught." Johnny says, "Because it doesn't know the words." So here's the deal. The power of God is always going. It's always coming. And it's up to us to choose the words. Just like electricians who go in and practice, they go to school. You don't go and open the electrical panel, strip everything down, and start messing around without knowing a little something, without learning a little something, without having practiced. And just like that, that is, well, actually, just different than that, that's what we do in life. We just start living without any practice or directions, unless we purposely set out to get directions, unless we purposely set out to understand what it is that is going to create a life worth living, to create a life that actually brings us joy and peace. This lesson today is about demonstration. Demonstration of the power of God in our lives. Has anybody ever seen that in your life, in your own life? I'm seeing some yeses. Good. Those of you who haven't seen it in your own life, can you say that you've seen the power of God working in other people's lives? You have seen the power of God. Excellent. Thank you. So today we're going to finish the story of Chip the Monk. And I know many of you have come back today just to hear the last And I'm going to talk about the power of will as we've been working through the 12 powers this year. And discover the power within has been our theme. And so this will is already a part of you. And we're going to talk about the relationship between the power of will and transformation in our own lives. So, Chip the Monk, let's start there. A world of wonder and joy has changed in an instant. And people, young and old, start believing negative thoughts and lies about that are being created by pea-brain. The harmony animals go to wise one for help. This is the eternal quest, right? It's how do I fix the problem? There's a problem, I want to fix it. Turning to the divine is the answer in every challenge. The wise one finds Chip. Not yet the monk, just Chip. And immediately recognizes him as the one. The wise one teaches Chip that the lies pea-brain is spreading about not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being loved enough, and loving enough. All these things are just showing up in that Chip himself is the one called to face these and see them for what they are, lies. But, she explained, only he could decide to accept the mission of seeing them for what they are, and that thereby help them to dissipate. So it was a challenge for him deciding to accept that mission, because it meant looking at the lies, seeing the lies. But eventually he did realized that wise one was right, that was the only way through, and so Chip the Monk made the decision to accept his role as the one. Part 4, the last part, it's called The Apprentice. Chip began his power monk training, which he did without fuss or any complaining. Wise One showed him many wondrous and powerful ways to remember the truth on the darkest of days. He realized he was called to share with his friends the many spiritual paths to P-Brain's end. The demonstration is about practice, right? The demonstration is to practice the principles, practice the tools that come up, practice prayer, practice meditation, practice being conscious of what is it I'm choosing in this moment to see and to believe, what's showing up from my past. That's a pattern that's just showing up over and over again that I can see differently now. As a friend of mine said this morning, the thing about unity, the thing about coming back over and over again, it's an opportunity to turn the diamond a little bit and see it from a new direction, to try it on from a new direction. And that's what we're invited to do in our own personal lives over and over, is to see it. That's the practice through all of the different, what do we call them? Many spiritual paths, wondrous and powerful ways, right? There's all these tools out there. Many of them we teach here. The foundational ones, prayer and meditation, reliance on the divine. Demonstration is about the practice. So, 12 powers are a tool to practice. That's what the 12 powers are about. That's where we get to practice each and every one of these. Those are cute. Attention, paying attention is not one of the 12 powers. That's where we get to practice all these gifts of God. Now, I've had people say, really, only 12? Where's joy? Joy needs to be a power. Okay, so I think that joy is a power. It's just underneath the umbrella power of zeal. Yes, you like that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this month we've been talking about the power of will. The power of will is just shows up over and over again. The question over and over again is, how will you use your will? Where will you direct it? Right? It's the opportunity to choose to direct our thoughts and our actions. The power of will is represented by the disciple Matthew. Apparently, I learned this week. Before Matthew decided to follow Jesus, the story says that he was a publican. Now, a publican in that time frame was a tax collector and a contractor for the Roman army, which means that he had some money. He was not a poor man. And he left it all behind to follow Jesus. The quote about Jesus, from Jesus, is reported to have said, "There is no one that hath left There no one has left home, brethren, sisters, mother, father, children, or lands, for my sake and for the gospel's sake, but that they shall receive 100-fold now, in this time, houses, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, and lands." No one gives up a life of material goods or a life of what we think we need for nothing. We give it up to follow that Christ presence within, the divine, the Buddha nature, if you like, that highest self, if psychology works best for you. We give it up to follow that guidance that comes from within. And whatever we receive is guaranteed to be better than what we held before. How many of you are going, maybe? Nobody? You all buy into this idea? Preach it to the choir. The revealing word says that will is the executive faculty of the mind, the center in mind and body around which revolve all the activities that constitute consciousness. It goes on to say that the use of the will is very important in making demonstrations. One must be persistent, since persistence is essential to demonstration. Now there's a difference. I used to think that will and desire were very closely related, right? That to want something, to will something into being, was very close to wanting, willing and wanting, right? Says desire is a reaching out of the mind for satisfaction. Will is the controlling, directing faculty of mind. One may have desire to be well and yet not have the will to be well. Yeah. One might have the desire to lose weight, but not have the will to lose weight. One might have the desire to exercise, but not have the will to exercise. One might have, what else? Who else has a thing that they can example? None of you have any examples. You've all graduated to some place of being where there's nothing that you want to be able to express in your life more fully and that is not aligned fully with your will. I got one in the back and one up here. Deb.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it? That's exactly right. Right? I have the desire to be free of forgiveness, but do I have the will? Am I willing to take every step that's necessary, every step to actually be in forgiveness? You had
learn to play a musical instrument.
Learning to play a musical instrument. I heard a story about this guy that says a woman came up to him after church one Sunday, and she said, I would love to play the piano like you. And he says, no, you wouldn't. And she goes, yeah, I really would. He said, no. If you really would like to play the piano like me, you would do the hours and hours and hours of practice, like I've done. That's recognition of what will is versus desire. I saw another hand.
What you said last week I was working on is the will to wait for God.
The will to wait for God. God is not very fast sometimes.
I go so fast, and what I'm going to do it better, I'm going to be late.
You've been being late because you've been waiting on God? I will myself to wait on God. What a gift. You know, God just shows up with these things in my mind, and I just have to share them with you.
And then I was going to say, I wish that I would weed my garden metaphorically, as well as literally, but I don't know that I have the will to do it.
That is a great, I wish that I would weed my garden metaphysically, metaphorically, but I don't know that I have the will to do it. That's what classes are for. That's what small groups are for. Honestly, that is why we have small groups. Because in the, showing up on Sunday, it is great. It feels good, right? But doing that on Sunday, feeling good, if that's all you can do for right now, that's fabulous. But if you want, if your will is to actually weed the garden of your mind, then the small groups are the way to actually get that support from others. Yeah, thank you.
I have a desire to come to unity, but I don't step out the door.
Sometimes on Sunday mornings, okay, for all of you at home. I won't tell you who it is.
I wasn't addressing that.
My dear friend out here in the church today was able to will herself to step out the door on a Sunday morning to come to church in person. And she says that many times, she has a desire to be here, but not the will to get here.
But
That's,
I get here.
pardon me?
I do come out the door.
You do come out the door.
Yes.
Yes, that is the power of will. Yes, sir? The love of others. Anybody have a hard time loving other people? You know, it's not a problem in this group.
Just depends on who it is.
All of the 12 powers work together to manifest the highest consciousness within us. For me, and for parents, and for the parents of the inner child, those of you who think about these things, the best practice I've found for actually engaging the will is to pair it with the power of judgment. So it's also known as wisdom and judgment, right? Wisdom allows us to rely on our history, what we know, what we've learned, perhaps what other people have offered to us as advice, maybe something we've read in a book, but that we use our judgment, which is located just between the temples, if we are in a body location, and we use that judgment to inform the will. And then when we put those two together, and then we also recognize that I have faith that God can work in and through me to make this a reality, to demonstrate my will. Faith is right in the very center of the brain. I mean, it's all over, but it's a nice place to think about. So, these, when we put them all together, then we start being able to choose differently, to choose to follow the will that actually is in our very highest and best, and have a demonstration. One of the things that I did, many of you know that I lost 35 pounds in the last year and a half. It was very slow, but I'm good with it. One of the things that I tell myself is, it only matters what I do today. Today's the only day that matters about eating healthy. And for some reason, that's really helped me a lot to engage my will towards a healthier body. The other thing was that I gave up thinking that I actually have the power to make myself go to the gym. But I have the power to hire a trainer, and when I put money into the mix, I'm showing up there every week. And actually, I showed up there every week for a while, and now I'm showing up there 3 times a week. Because now I had to get help to get my will engaged. Anybody else think that that's a thing for you too, maybe? That sometimes you need outside help? I mean, money is a great motivator for me. The demonstration is about practice. From the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, 2nd century gospel that was lost for many hundreds of years. Attachment to matter gives rise to incomparable suffering because it goes against our true nature. Then the whole body becomes disturbed. This is why I taught you to find contentment at the level of the heart. When you feel disturbed or out of balance, reclaim wholeness in the presence of all the different forms of your true nature. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. When the Blessed One had said these things, he embraced them all and took his leave, saying, "Peace be with you. Cultivate my peace within yourselves. Be vigilant And don't let anyone lead you astray by saying, here it is or there it is, for the Son of Man, the child of your true humanity, already lives within each of you. This is what you should follow. I tell you, those who seek this within will surely find it. Go then and proclaim the gospel of the kingdom. I love these words. Reclaim the wholeness in the presence of all the different forms of your true nature. And so we have that, right? I can reclaim my personal will that is a gift of God. It is a part of my true nature. I can reclaim love that is a gift of God, part of my personal nature, my true nature, right? All of these things, faith, love, strength, judgment, will, power of power. Cultivate peace within yourselves. The child of true humanity, the same nature that lived in all spiritual teachers, lives in you. You know, our purpose here at Unity of Olympia is to nurture lives of freedom and joy. It is to inspire people to make a positive difference in the world. And I believe so strongly that I gave up my life that I had before in my mid-40s. I gave up the bulk of my retirement and I went to school in Missouri. For 4 years I lived there. It was wonderful. I was a good golfer then. Because I believe that the path to a greater humanity, to a more peaceful world, to a more loving, kind world, is through a spiritual movement. And I don't believe it's one faith, the faith of Christianity or Islam or even Judaism. Forgive me for myself. I do believe that it's the honoring of all of this child of true humanity that lives within us. That it is the weeding of the garden. It is the willingness to love one another when we've been hurt, to forgive. This spiritual path, this is our path to a better world. And so we start with our part, our little tiny part, right? Which is a big enough job. It's a big enough job just to start right here inside of this little bubble. But just like Chip the monk, just like Matthew the disciple, when we start practicing, we share it with our friends. If they don't want to accept it, that's okay. I think Jesus said, if they don't want to hear what you have to say, just, don't let the dust collect or something like that. And just move on to the next village, right? If they don't want to hear what you have to say, fine, let it go, right? But this is the purpose behind Unity teachings, is for us to learn it so that our lives are the demonstration of that power, that presence in the world. And that we can share that with others. You all know that I belong to a 12-step program, and when we say the 12-step program, it's a program of attraction rather than promotion. We are not proselytizers. We're not going to go door knocking and trying to get people to come and get saved at Unity. That's not what we're doing. The invitation is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. That creates the demonstration in the world. Chip the monk will forever be practicing because that's where the book ended. The power of will is within you. The peace of God is always with us. Today, I want to invite you into a meditation in a few moments. We're going to have some music to start with. That today's meditation is going to be a little different than normal. I'm going to be inviting you into what's called an embodied meditation. And I'm going to talk about I'm going to use each of the 12 powers as a center of power for you to concentrate on as we move into our ownership of how to live with that divine presence being in charge. Christ, the Buddha, the highest self that you can be. So it is.